Welcome back to your Essential Small Group. We're so glad that you've joined us again for what we think will be an especially rewarding study. This time, we're going to focus on the book of Psalms, which is one of the most beloved books in the Bible.
As we step into the Psalms, it can be helpful to think of them less as a book of the Bible and more as a resource. In fact, if you look in the Book of Common Prayer, you'll see that the Psalms are really the only complete book of the Bible included in your prayer book. And it's because they are such a rich and important resource for our life with God. You might even say that they're necessary for a relationship with God. We need them in order to initiate a prayer life with the Lord.
One theologian wrote that prayer does not mean simply to pour out one's heart. It means rather to find the way to God and to speak with Him, whether the heart is full or empty. In other words, we have to learn how to pray. Because without being taught, our prayers can be obsessed with our own circumstances and self-absorbed. Or we can feign a kind of high-minded spiritual language that's inauthentic and hollow. And the Psalms, they allow us to speak with God in a way that we can find genuine intimacy with Him.
You see, not only do the Psalms show us how to speak with God, they also show us what to expect in the Christian life. Many of us might wonder what it should look like or what it might feel like to really follow God and to live as a Christian. I myself have wondered that. What am I doing this right? What kinds of things should I even say to God? Well, the Psalms, they show us, and they show us exactly what to do, and it's pretty incredible. If you look at them and examine them, you'll see that there are all kinds of words that they give us. We see pleas of hopelessness. We see confessions of doubt. We see expressions of bitter resentment and anger. We see this whole spectrum of human emotion laid out before God. And so the Psalms actually authorize us to speak to God in such a way. They tell us what it is to express frustration and doubt and even unceasing praise to God. Because remember, it's not just that the Psalms are in the Bible, it's that Jesus Himself prayed the Psalms.
In fact, if you look at what book Jesus quoted the most in His ministry, it's the Psalms. And so again, that shows us that we can pray these words with real confidence. They are His words. When we pray the words of the Psalms, we are learning to pray as Jesus Himself prayed, the one who is more connected to God the Father than any other person. The Psalms are an incredible resource for us.
I even have to confess, in my own times of doubt or in the dry periods of my spiritual life, the place that I typically turn to first is the Psalms. Because when you read them, they give you a companion. It's almost as if they hold your hand and bring you back into fellowship with God. They are so unafraid of your hard feelings or your ingratitude or whatever you might be feeling. And in that way, they reintroduce us into genuine intimacy with God.
We hope that during the study, you'll not only learn about the Psalms, how they work, what's beautiful about their language, but also that you would be encouraged and that you'd get drawn into a greater intimacy with God. And in this way, I want to encourage each of you to do two things as you undertake this study of the Psalms. First, do study the Psalms. By that I mean read them carefully and with consideration. Remember, they are poetry, which means they are intentionally designed and crafted, and so they have a careful beauty and logic to them that invites our own investigation. If you study them, I know that you'll be rewarded with insights about God's character and about your place within God's world. You can even simply enjoy them. Second, I invite you to be carried by them. Use their language to pray to God. Let them be like a springboard that prompts you into deeper prayer and reflection. In short, don't just study them. Pray them and let their language become your language as you speak to God. When you do that, they can guide your heart into a greater comfort and familiarity with God.
And in light of those two suggestions from Colin, I'll also note that we have designed this study to really involve two things. Each session in this 10-week study will offer up the time to carefully read and study one particular psalm at a time. That's what you'll do with your group. You'll see the way each psalm opens up into this enormous and vast world of theological reflection and significance to your own life. Second, you'll notice that we've created a reading plan to go alongside the 10 psalms that we've selected for your group to study. This reading plan will take you through all 150 Psalms over the 10-week period. And I would strongly encourage you to do this reading plan because reading through all of the Psalms can be such a great gift. When you read through them, actually, don't even worry about understanding every jot and tittle. Just read them and let your mind find whatever it is that you notice and are attracted to. Maybe even take notes in a journal and note which songs speak to you. And if a particular psalm doesn't offer up anything to you in that day, just finish reading the psalm and then move on to the next one. Hopefully you'll return to it again one day. I know you probably will. So read carefully when you read as a group, and then read voraciously when you read through the Psalms on your own.
We are so excited for you to begin this study. There really is no community of faith that hasn't had a strong relationship to the Psalms. Benedictine monks prayed through all of the Psalms every week. And our Book of Common Prayer, it encourages us to pray through all of the Psalms every month. The Psalms are a rich spiritual diet for our community. And so we invite you to enter into them together and to see how God might draw us more deeply to Himself.